Welcome everyone, this is the 31 Days of Dread, and I am your host, Peter A. DeLuca, aka PAD, and this is where we do one horror movie a day for the entire month of October. That's 30, if you can't count, that's 31 movies celebrating the greatest genre of them all, the greatest experimentational platform of them all, the greatest young filmmaker discoverer of them all. It is horror, 31 days coming at you. Look out, ghouls and ghosts, it gets spooky. Alright everyone, coming out of that intro hot, this is what I call the telethon portion of the podcast. This is where I pitch myself to you for your support. Your support means everything to me because we're fighting, the AKAPAD army is fighting against algorithms everywhere. Algorithms, I ate some cereal earlier today, I dumped it into my bowl and it was full of algorithms. Okay, bad joke. Alright. Sharing this podcast, telling your friends about it, leaving comments, leaving reviews. This is how we grow AKAPAD's audio audacity. Your support there is more valuable than anything other than like a high five in person, because I'd love a high five in person. No joke, people. I feel like it's been years getting to this moment. Years of waiting to finally discuss Scream. An insanely important movie. Like late 90s, Hollywood and all, like going into the year 1999. 1999 is what I consider to be one of top 3 most impactful years in Hollywood history. We're building into that, so we have to put that into a little bit of the context when we consider Scream as one of the absolute greatest horror movies of all time. 1996, Wes Craven and a newborn. We all know his name, right? Kevin Williamson. Kevin Williamson becomes another Quentin Tarantino. Great screenplay out of nowhere, takes over Hollywood. And within so taking over Hollywood, I mean, the story itself is Scream. Kevin Williamson, the mastermind behind Scream, builds, creates this giant franchise just out of sheer will, sheer talent. And then along the way, within a few short years, he gets mashed up. 1998, Halloween, H2O. 1998, The Faculty. 1999, Teaching Miss Tingle. He's not involved with the screenplay for Scream 3. Then it's Curse. Then it's Venom. Dawson's Creek, he does a ton of TV work. Doesn't come back to Scream until Scream 4 2011. I've long thought this. If Kevin Williamson was a part of Scream 3, this is like something, this is a fantasy. This is something to be we should want to see his original story notes for Scream 3, because we're dealing with this long form complex narrative, and it's the first time we're like really rolling around in long form meta too. Again, something that complements itself highly. The comedies, if you look at the Austin Power movies, there's a lot of similarities in the way it's laid out, okay? And we're also dealing with 90s content. So like there's all these little like dynamic combustible elements. But Kevin Williamson was a part of the cell for Scream for so long. And then like what do we have? What do we have right now? January of this coming year, we have the 5th Scream movie. Since then, we've had 3 MTV, 1 VH1 TV series titled Scream. So the franchise has become this other entity. It's this bigger idea. And because of that, when we might have ideas, preconceived notions of when we go into the original, we might expect different things. And here's the best idea. If you appreciate a lot of the what I would call slasher deconstruction. At the end of the 31 Days of Dread, I'm Peter A. DeLuca, by the way. Peter A. DeLuca, 31 Days of Dread. At the end of this journey, we're going to be talking about Fear Street from Netflix. Fear Street is another deconstruction of the slasher. Cabin in the Woods, deconstruction of the slasher. And we get these deconstructions now, and they're very common. But it started with Scream, and it started with a very odd blend. I mean, a perfect, weird blender. Like, they poured these things into a blender. You know, they got themselves a mold, and we got something very unique, very special. We have young Hollywood in Scream. We have a meta slasher movie with Scream. We have Wes Craven, the guy behind Nightmare on Elm Street, icon behind Scream. We have a screenplay, up-and-comer creator who really proved himself, Kevin Williamson in Scream. Dimension, new studio, spin-off of Miramax, Scream. Okay? They used to call New Line Cinema the house that Freddy built. Dimension is the house that Scream built. Then we have a cast who, like almost everyone that Scream touched, top to bottom, went on to really be a solid creator. We're talking music, we're talking like everywhere. And we have also the emergence of Wes Craven becoming a horror icon. I get you're an icon when you create Freddy Krueger, but when you create, again, very similar to James Wan, back-to-back giant franchises, you're one of the greats. And I would say James Wan, it essentially could be our, like, again, like modern-day Wes Craven. So there's all these things about this movie that I liked. It's teenage, it's angsty, it's these kids are not impressed. I mean, the beginning of this movie is so freaking good with Drew Barrymore. One of the Scream is tropes within tropes. It's almost like a lot of these episodes, I want to talk to you for about 10 minutes for the 31 Days of Dread. And I almost feel like Scream just needs notes. And I think Scream really lends itself to the intention of audio audacity, which is long form conversation. Because it goes in so many different directions. But the trope within Scream is the person on the poster is going to die early. Someone in the top billing will die early. This movie we have Drew Barrymore. Next movie we have Jada Pinkett Smith. It's amazing. Okay, so we have this murder, and then within the framework, the context of and the logic of the movie, these kids are not impressed by it. They're not. They're like the one line that I love is they're walking up the stairway in the beginning of this movie, and what's her name? The Prescott girl's like, oh, she's like such and such. I sat next to her in history class, and Rose McGowan's like, you don't anymore. And I really feel like that solidifies this freaking movie. The teenagers in this movie, they're very Tarantino. They're very hyper. They're stylized, but they're some of the best teenagers we've ever seen on screen. Kevin Williamson. Okay, look, he goes off. I Know What You Did Last Summer, right? He does Scream. I Know What You Did Last Summer and Scream 2, all within 2 years. I Know What You Did Last Summer. Multiple direct-to-video sequels, but Amazon just dropped a I Know What You Did Last Summer series for Halloween. So, I mean, like, he creates things that last. Now, the crazy thing is, like, The Faculty never really stuck. I think The Faculty is awesome. I know I tried to watch Teaching Miss Tingle a few times. Couldn't really get that to land. I'm very curious about Halloween H2O at this point. I might just throw that in as like one of these bonus episodes that I've been planning. So Scream's just important because it shows you the power of the screenplay. The screenplay for Scream is as important as the screenplay for The Matrix, Pulp Fiction, Clerks. It's in this category. Usual Suspects. I think, a category that no longer lasts, no longer exists within Hollywood. And then the story for Scream. I mean, we set up Cotton Leary, in a couple throwaway shots. And he's a major character in 2 and 3. Even though he doesn't last long in the third one. But major character. We have this unraveling of the slasher like complex, the slasher trope. It's like an onslaught on what Hollywood's been spoon feeding us. This is the meta aspect. Randy, Jamie Kennedy, he's a character that is us. He speaks from us. Works at a video store. Longing for for Naomi Campbell. And then it's like this backstory with the Prescott family, the mother. Another amazing horror movie trope is the father disappears. So it's a child, it's a teenager alone. And it's very unnoticeable as the movie marches on because you are guessing, you're just like moving forward. But again, horror movies can't have parents. They don't exist if they have parents. So it's all of these things. And Matthew Lillard, it's endless. It's an endless performance, like, masterpiece. And you really have to credit Wes Craven. Wes Craven knew exactly what direction to give, what to get out of these people, what he wanted. So good casting, good direction. Like, again, there's few errors within Scream. Visually, the design of the Ghostface mask, the poster design, black with a little bit of red on white. Again, like, these are the visuals that are programmed into our like consciousness when it comes to Scream. So this is, I mean, I said it leading up to this. Scream is 1, 2, and 3, the greatest horror trilogy of all time that's fully self-aware as being a trilogy and being a sequel as the movie marches on. Now, I remember when, like, a lot of this stuff hit the press, like Entertainment Weekly, Premiere Magazine, Variety, because I would read all these things. And it was like, as soon as Scream was a hit, it was like, boom, like, we got 2 and 3 ready to go. So we saw a lot of this, like, early experimentation with unloading, like, a long form story. Like, these things would always be baked into the dough. Now it's very common for Scream, and I would say, like, the bigger payoff for that would have been as quickly that they went into the Matrix and the Pirates of the Caribbean trilogies, because those are trilogies. Scream is the greatest of the horror trilogies. It's also one of the greatest trilogies of all time. I do put Pirates, I do put Matrix. Trilogy is a limited category, but most of them, here's like the unpopular thought, and I'm not even a fan of like Dark Knight Rises, but I do feel like it does work as a trilogy. Most of these trilogies are successful. They're far more successful than the final season of a lot of TV shows. So everyone, we're doing Scream. I'm gonna try and do like a double drop, like 1 and 2, and then 2 and 1 and 2, and then 3 and 4, because I do want to talk about the fourth one. Fourth one may not be labeled as a part of the 31 Days of Dread, because I do want to get into Hellraiser with all of you. That's really what we have coming. Jennifer's Body we have coming. I'm bumping What We Do in the Shadows, just because it's a good bump. It's fair, because I enjoyed that TV show far more than I enjoy What We Do in the Shadows as a movie. The movie's kind of disappointing if you get into the TV show first. So, a little bit of adjustment. We're marching on. Right now, tonight, just so you guys know what I'm doing, I'm watching Freddy, like, all night, gearing up for the final run of the 31 Days of Dread. So, we got a lot of cooking. I just can't recommend Scream enough. It is top 5 trilogy ever, top horror movie trilogy ever, top 10 horror movie ever. And that's it. Okay? I mean, it's hard to beat. So everyone, 31 Days of Dread, rock and roll. Let's do this. And to continue this telethon, when we're not talking about high fives, there's other ways to support me. I'm a living professional. I'm a full-time freelancer. Anything you see on this, like here on this podcast, or see in my social media, I make everything. It's all made by me. That's a part of my pitch to you. And you can purchase professional services through AKAPAD.com. That's a pipeline to me if you want to send me a message. But also while you're there, you can sign up for my newsletter. You're going to get deals. You're going to get coupons. You're going to get 2 free trading cards mailed to you free worldwide. And they're 2 Wolfpack trading cards, 2 original characters, for upcoming comic book work. And speaking of comic books, you can go to Etsy, type in Uzi Susie, and that's where you're going to find my mini comic. You can purchase existing issues and pre-order upcoming issues along with bundles if you missed any, like issue 1, 2, or 3 or whatever. There, Uzi Susie is waiting for you. And keep an eye on Indiegogo. A lot of my bigger comic book projects will be available through Indiegogo. All of those updates will be here on this podcast, so if you're a regular listener, I'll let you know. We can rock and roll from there. So everyone, thank you so much, and feel free to reach out to me on social media, AKAPAD69, Instagram, and Xbox. That's right, you can play Halo with me. Just straight up AKAPAD on Twitter, straight up AKAPAD on the Facebook. My business page is there. My personal page is there. Hey, be a personal friend of mine. I don't care. Let's talk movies. Let's talk creativity. Let's talk fun, and just who cares? Do you like, the Transformer movies? I love them. We can talk about that all night. So meet me there and we'll rock and roll. Let's get talking. We got a movie to discuss.